Hello everyone, today I'm going to walk you through what are the key concepts of the waterfall model, what is the waterfall model, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the waterfall model. So before Agile and Scrum, in the software development world, there was used a model. This model is actually still used up to date, which is the waterfall model. So the waterfall model is not very complex. It actually consists of specific phases that one goes each after that one. That's why you have the waterfall name. So what is the first phase? The first phase is the feasibility study. So what that means, the main goal of this phase is to determine whether it would be financially and technically feasible to develop the software. Let's imagine that the customer asks for a specific product, then there will be some research undertaken, understanding if that specific product makes sense to be released. Then the best solution is chosen and all the other phases are carried out as per the solution strategy. What is the next phase? The next phase is the requirements, analysis, and specification. So the aim of the requirement analysis actually is to understand the exact requirements of the customer and document them properly. The phase consists of actually two key concept activities. The first one is the requirement gathering and analysis. Basically, the goal is to just remove any incompleteness or something that may be lacking information, and also any inconsistencies that maybe might appear during that phase. And the second activity is the requirement specification. When analyzed the requirements and the documents, what is actually the result of this is a specific document, which is the software requirement specification, also known as the SRS, the software requirement specification. The next phase is the design. So the aim of this phase is to transform the requirements specified in the SRS document, which I mentioned previously, into a structure that is suitable for implementation in some programming language. After that, we would have the next phase, which is the coding and unit testing. In the coding phase, the software design is translated into source code and using any suitable programming language. Thus, each designed module is coded. The aim of the unit testing phase is to check whether each module is working properly or not. After that, we would have the almost coming to an end, the integration and the system testing. So the integration of different modules are undertaken soon after they have been coded and unit tested. Integration of various modules are carried out incrementally over a number of steps. So after all of the testing and development work has been done, we would have the big deployment, and you would have the final stage, which is maintenance. Maintenance is the most important phase of a software lifecycle, so the effort spent on maintenance is probably up to 60% of the total effort spent to develop the full software. So that's basically, those are basically all the stages that you have for the waterfall model. What are the key advantages of the waterfall model? So the model is very simple and is easy to understand. The phases in the model are processed one at a time. Each stage in the model is clearly defined. The model has very clear and well understood milestones, so you know what comes after another. And it also reinforces very good habits like defining before design or design before code. And this also model might work very well for some smaller projects. As I mentioned, the model is actually still being used. What are the drawbacks and disadvantages of the classical waterfall model? So actually, there's a huge problem when it comes to accommodate new changes. Whenever the customer or the stakeholder want new requirements, it will be extremely complicated for a development team to stop working on what they already started working and to adjust those changes. And knowing today's technology, the requirements constantly change just because the business is also changing and you have to be more flexible. Another drawback is the feedback path. So in a classical waterfall model, basically you will not be able to get any feedback until you get to the final stage of the implementation, which is a very poor way to understand if the functionality, the software, the product that you're developing actually is feasible enough. So maybe you were expecting that 80% of the product that you're about to release will be used, but in the end, only 15 or 10% of the product is being used, and it actually dropped in value. So a final, I guess, drawback is the overlapping of phases. So the model recommends that new phases can start only after the completion of the previous phase. But in real projects, this is very complicated to maintain because of course, it asks for overlapping between stages. So these are the key drawbacks of a classical waterfall model. In hindsight, the waterfall model is very good for smaller projects. It definitely has its perks, its advantages, and of course, it has its drawbacks. So that's all regarding the waterfall model.